Blame. 5 essential coaching skills. After drawing upon research from 1,000 professionals, we've compiled a list of skills giving you the tools to bring out the best in your colleagues. To become a great coach, many skills are desirable, but a few are truly essential. Balanced, specific and constructive, feedback is the first line of communication, helping you to build an honest and open relationship.
Feedback is simply clear information that you can offer up to colleagues about how they're performing. It isn't criticism. The unconstructed criticism is just about judging someone and does little help anybody.
I think they've got to have feedback, even if it's constructive feedback and it's not good. You've got to give it back, in a very professional, constructive way, so they don't feel let down, but they will learn from it, really.
A good coach can both give and receive feedback. It's really important in bringing effective relationships and giving people a clear sense of how they're doing, and most importantly, given while they still have an opportunity to make positive changes.
I think you need to know where you're going. If no one told you and you're like a year and you're doing something wrong and no one told you, then it'd be a bit silly, really.
It should be positive and encouraging. When I'm coaching my team, I try to point out strengths as well as weaknesses.
This young guy I was coaching fed back to me saying what wasn't helpful and why. It wasn't easy for me to hear from someone I was trying to help say, "You're not helping." But his feedback was specific and constructive. I'd been saying, be more assertive, but he needed specific examples of how to put that into practice.
If something's not right or I think if he thinks I can improve in something, he's always says it in a positive way, which I quite like.
To be honest, I'd lost my way a bit at work until a friend of mine gave me some feedback. He did it so well that I didn't even realise I was being fed back to. He walked me through the BOOST method, which stands for balanced, so he gave me both praise and constructive criticism. Observed, so he only spoke what he had seen me say or do. Objective, even though we are friends, he only stayed with the facts and told me what I needed to hear. Specific, it was very helpful to have examples, and timely, so he fed back to me as soon as he could after the events. I guess it's one of those things that people love it or loathe it, but coaching cannot succeed without it.
Listening is something that most people take for granted. It may seem like the most natural thing in the world, but genuine listening is harder than it seems.
If the person doing the coaching really listens and takes on board what has been said, only then will they be able to understand their colleagues' needs and concerns properly.
Maybe they haven't really seen how good they are or whatever, but it really is listening and then picking up on things that, that they could be very skillful at or are, and trying to promote that, really.
I always thought listening was easy, but it's actually quite an elusive skill.
When I'm coaching a workmate, I try to be active in my listening, summarising, reiterating what they've said, and being a sounding board for them. For me, it's the best way to bring clarity and understanding.
Listening is an art, I think, yes.
If my ideas aren't listened to, then I'm not going to feel valued as an employee.
So listening is very important in my job, especially because I have to listen to my customers and their requirements rather than sitting there and telling them what I think they should be hearing. So most of the time in my job and when I'm coaching people, I'm listening to them and what they need to know rather than telling them because it may not be appropriate.
Personally, I think the best listeners are totally into what you're saying, and while you're talking, nothing else matters. So often people are just waiting for their turn to speak.
Asking questions is an indispensable coaching skill. Effective questions draw out information, as well as influence and guide the person, helping them to approach their situation from a fresh perspective.
When I'm coaching my team, I use exploratory questions like, what do you want to achieve, to open up the situation for clearer assessment. Now, using simple questions like that, so often the answers present themselves.
This morning I've just had an email from a guy who is like a mentor to me, but interestingly he called the meetings that I have with him coaching sessions, and I suppose I would query that a bit.
I think this area demonstrates a fundamental difference between coaching and mentoring.
You're onto something there, John. I agree. You go to a mentor for instruction, but with coaching, the skill is in simply asking the right questions.
That's right. Asking and not telling. So often the two get confused. There's a time and a place for coaching and mentoring, but coaching requires a different set of skills altogether.
People who are good at coaching ask questions that have a clear purpose. They really make you think for yourself so you can reach your own conclusions.
By using carefully thought through questions, you can really get down to underlying issues and work out the best way to help them to move forward effectively.
If we have some problems, in the evening I came over to my boss and thought, let's go and have a cup of beer and talk about all the difficulties we have and what we could do to overcome this.
Goal setting is crucial to providing motivation. Specific, appropriate and achievable goals provide invaluable direction and purpose.
The point of coaching is to help someone in identifying specific goals and then to help them achieve those goals. Now, I usually recommend they write those goals down too.
What, like homework?
Yeah, but unlike school, you get up in the morning buzzing, thinking, what do I need to achieve today? It's invigorating.
I think motivation is the key thing, isn't it, in any industry? You have to communicate and control and organise people, but motivation is the thing that pulls everything together. If people are not motivated, then they're not going to want to be there, then that's where all the problems start, I think.
The best coaches don't just give a list of goals and say off you go. They also provide you with the tools and perspective to achieve those goals.
If you take away responsibility from people, then they detach themselves. They will only do what's necessary to do to please you, whereas if they're doing it for themselves, then that's the best way to work, isn't it? Everyone feels more valuable.
Well, I knew I wanted a better job, but my coach here helped me break down that overall aim into more specific and achievable goals, like how much I wanted to earn, the responsibility levels and work-life balance. Now, once I figured that out, the goals fell into place.
You coach employees with initiative. You give them the ideas that they need to figure it out for themselves.
Well, it wasn't just about making goals. I mean, anyone can come up with a wish list, but when I got help in prioritising them and breaking them down into bite-sized chunks, I could tackle them one at a time. I mean, when I've got a clear goal, I've got a target to aim all my energy and resources at.
The final skill is one that underpins all the others. You need emotional detachment in order to effectively utilise our essential coaching skills.
Not getting too involved is critical to remaining objective. Otherwise, you just can't coach effectively. That's easier said than done. I remember when we took on a new executive to look after my team. Well, he did things totally differently. I had complaints right, left and centre, but of course I had to resist the temptation to wade in myself to try and fix things. Now, by getting him to reassess his techniques himself, he resolved the situation on his own and the team were very happy about it.
If you get emotionally involved, you just end up giving your personal opinion instead of helping the person you're coaching work it out for themselves.
I think it's a bit of both, really. It's passing on the skills that I've got and encouraging them to find skills themselves that they didn't realise they had, sort of tapping potential, unrealised potential.
I know from personal experience that coaching isn't just about giving homespun advice or your take on a situation, but that's often what you'll get from someone who's too involved. A friend who can stay detached is priceless.
There you have it. Feedback, listening, asking questions, making goals, and emotional detachment as easy to remember as flame. Getting alongside someone and coaching them towards achieving their full potential is a great feeling, and using these skills can be as natural as a chat over a coffee or meeting up for a drink after work.